Have you ever stopped to consider how the stories we tell about death shape our understanding of life? In Norse mythology, there lies a realm shrouded in mystery and misconception, the underworld ruled by Hel. But what if everything you thought you knew about this enigmatic figure and her domain was built on misunderstandings passed down through generations? Today, we're diving deep into 30 myths surrounding Hel and the Norse underworld, from exaggerated tales of monsters and punishment to overlooked truths about balance and destiny. This journey will challenge everything you think you know. We'll uncover the complexities of Hel's character, explore the different realms within her dominion, and reveal surprising insights about rituals, creatures, and even her relationships with other gods. By the time we're done, you'll have a whole new perspective on one of mythology's most fascinating figures. So stick around, because the truth about Hel is far more intriguing and human than any legend could capture. Let's get started. Now that we've set the stage, let's delve into one of the most pervasive myths about Hel, the idea that she is nothing more than a monstrous figure. This misconception has been perpetuated through centuries of storytelling, often portraying her as a terrifying entity meant to frighten rather than enlighten. But the truth is far richer and more nuanced. Hel, daughter of Loki and ruler of the underworld, is not merely a symbol of fear or punishment. In Norse mythology, she plays a vital role in maintaining balance between life and death. Her domain serves as an afterlife destination for those who do not die in battle, ensuring they are cared for beyond their mortal existence. Far from being purely malevolent, Hel embodies a complex character whose responsibilities extend beyond simple judgment. She governs with fairness, adhering to the laws set by the gods themselves, making decisions based on established rules rather than whimsical cruelty. Descriptions of her appearance further illustrate this duality, often depicted with a face split into two halves, one beautiful, one decayed. Hel represents the coexistence of life and death within all things. This imagery reflects her deeper purpose, reminding us that endings are part of beginnings and that transformation lies at the heart of existence. By viewing her solely as a monster, we overlook the profound wisdom embedded in her role as both guardian and guide in the cycle of life. Understanding Hel's true nature helps dismantle outdated stereotypes while revealing a deity worthy of respect and admiration. As we move forward, keep this complexity in mind. It sets the foundation for unraveling even more fascinating truths about her realm. Let's shift our focus now to another widespread misconception about the Norse underworld, that it was purely a place of punishment. This idea, though compelling in its simplicity, fails to capture the intricate layers of belief surrounding Hel's domain. The Norse afterlife was not a one-size-fits-all concept, but rather a diverse tapestry of realms, each serving distinct purposes. In Norse mythology, the underworld consists of several regions, with Niflheim and Helheim being among the most prominent. Niflheim, often described as a desolate and icy realm, was believed to be one of the primordial worlds that predated the creation of Midgard. It is here where the dishonored dead were thought to reside, those who did not fall gloriously in battle. However, this does not equate to eternal torment. Instead, it reflects a cultural understanding of consequences for actions during life. Meanwhile, Helheim, ruled by Hel herself, served as a sanctuary for those who died of old age, illness, or natural causes. These souls were not condemned but welcomed into an existence that mirrored their earthly lives, albeit in a shadowy form. The Norse viewed the afterlife through a lens of balance and continuity rather than retribution. For them, death was not the end but a transition, a continuation of life in another realm. Hel's role as ruler was not to punish indiscriminately but to oversee this transition with fairness and order. Unlike later interpretations influenced by Christian ideas of heaven and hell, the Norse conception of the underworld emphasized practicality over moral judgment. To understand this better, consider how burial practices aligned with these beliefs. Graves were often stocked with items the deceased might need in the afterlife, reflecting the idea that the soul would continue living much as it had before. This perspective highlights the Norse view of the underworld not as a place of punishment but as an extension of life itself, governed by Hel's impartial rule. By exploring these nuances, we gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity of Norse cosmology and the multifaceted nature of Hel's dominion. As we proceed, let us keep this richer understanding in mind. It will help illuminate even more intriguing aspects of the Norse underworld. Moving forward, let us delve into two interconnected myths surrounding one of the most poignant events in Norse mythology, the death of Baldr and the subsequent attempts to retrieve him from Hel. This tragic tale has sparked countless interpretations, many of which misunderstand the nuances of the story. Baldr, the beloved god associated with beauty, light, and purity, met his untimely demise through a scheme orchestrated by Loki. According to legend, Baldr had dreams foretelling his own death, prompting his mother Frigg to extract oaths from every living thing, ensuring nothing could harm her son. However, she overlooked mistletoe, considering it too insignificant to pose a threat. Cunning Loki exploited this oversight, fashioning a dart made of mistletoe and tricking Baldr's blind brother Hertha into hurling it at him. The act resulted in Baldr's fatal wounding, plunging the gods into despair. In response, Odin sent Hermother, another of his sons, on an urgent mission to Hel herself, seeking Baldr's release. Riding Sleipnir, the eight-legged steed of Odin, Hermother journeyed to the underworld where he pleaded with Hel for Baldr's return. Hel agreed, but only under one condition: all beings in the nine worlds must weep for Baldr out of genuine sorrow. If even one refused, Baldr would remain in her realm. Alas, a giantess named Thirk, believed by some to be Loki in disguise, refused to shed tears, sealing Baldr's fate in Hel. This narrative has given rise to several misconceptions. One prevalent misunderstanding is that Baldr's stay in Hel was permanent, representing ultimate defeat or punishment. In reality, his presence there reflects the natural order of life and death as understood by the Norse. Another misconception centers around the idea that the gods failed entirely in their efforts to bring him back. While they did not succeed, their actions demonstrated immense love and respect for Baldr, reinforcing the values central to Norse culture. Moreover, some interpret Baldr's eventual return during Ragnarök as evidence of divine intervention overturning Hel's authority. Yet, this overlooks the deeper symbolic meaning behind his resurrection. It signifies renewal and rebirth, aligning with broader themes within Norse cosmology. Understanding these layers enriches our appreciation of the complexities inherent in Baldr's story and its implications for the Norse view of mortality and the afterlife. Shifting our focus now, let us explore one of the most visually intriguing aspects of Hel's mythos, her appearance. Over time, artistic and literary depictions have often exaggerated Hel's form, portraying her as a grotesque or monstrous figure to align with modern interpretations of underworld rulers. However, delving into historical texts reveals a more nuanced and complex image of this enigmatic goddess. According to the prose Edda by Snorri Sturluson, Hel is described as having a unique physical presence that reflects her dual nature. She is said to be half living and half dead, with one side of her body appearing normal while the other is depicted as pale or decaying. This striking contrast symbolizes her role as the guardian of both life and death, bridging the gap between these fundamental states. Such imagery was not meant to evoke fear, but rather to emphasize her connection to the natural cycle of existence. Contrary to popular belief, Hel's appearance was never intended to inspire dread or revulsion. Instead, it served as a visual metaphor for her dominion over the afterlife and her impartial judgment of souls. Historical accounts suggest that Norse people viewed her with respect rather than terror, recognizing her function in maintaining cosmic balance. Her portrayal as an imposing yet dignified figure reinforced this perception. Modern interpretations sometimes misrepresent Hel's appearance by exaggerating its sinister qualities, omitting the symbolic depth behind her traditional depiction. By understanding the origins of these descriptions, we can appreciate how they reflect broader themes within Norse mythology, themes of duality, transformation, and equilibrium. As we continue our journey through these myths, remember that Hel's appearance tells only part of her story. Her character and purpose extend far beyond surface-level impressions. Moving on from Hel's striking appearance, let us now address another prevalent misconception surrounding her identity: the notion that as Loki's daughter, she must embody pure evil. While Loki is often portrayed as a mischievous and disruptive figure in Norse mythology, this association does not automatically define his children. Hel, in particular, defies such simplistic categorization. Her role as the ruler of the underworld requires a far more nuanced understanding. In Norse cosmology, Hel is not merely an agent of chaos or destruction, but rather a guardian who maintains order within the afterlife. As Loki's daughter, she inherits traits that reflect both creation and dissolution, elements essential to the natural cycle of existence. This duality is central to her character and purpose. Rather than representing absolute evil, Hel serves as a mediator between life and death, ensuring that each soul finds its proper place in the cosmos. Historical accounts reveal that Hel was viewed with respect by the Norse people, not fear or hatred. Her judgments were impartial and based on the laws governing the afterlife, which emphasized fairness over malice. For instance, when Baldr, the beloved god of light, descended to Hel's realm after his untimely death, she did not act out of cruelty but adhered to established rules. She agreed to release him only if every being in the 9 realms wept for his return, a condition reflecting her commitment to balance and justice. Moreover, Hel's domain was not exclusively a place of punishment, but also a haven for those who died peacefully or outside the battlefield. Here, souls experienced neither torment nor reward but existed in a state of quiet neutrality. This portrayal highlights her balanced nature, bridging the extremes of life and death without succumbing to either. By examining Hel's role through this lens, we can appreciate how her connection to Loki shapes her into a complex figure rather than a one-dimensional villain. Instead of embodying pure evil, she personifies the delicate equilibrium that sustains the universe, teaching us that even in darkness there lies purpose and meaning. As we delve deeper into these myths, remember that Hel's legacy transcends stereotypes, offering profound insights into the interconnectedness of all things. Shifting our focus now to another intriguing aspect of Hel's realm, let us explore the myth surrounding the Gjallarbrú, or the bridge to Hel. This legendary structure has captivated imaginations for centuries, often depicted as a mystical gateway connecting the mortal world to the underworld. However, many misconceptions cloud its true significance and purpose in Norse mythology. The Gjallarbrú, meaning resounding bridge, spans the river Gjöl, which separates the living from the dead. Contrary to popular belief, this bridge is not merely a perilous obstacle meant to deter unworthy souls. Instead, it serves as an integral part of the transition process for those destined for Hel's domain. Its primary function is symbolic rather than punitive, marking the boundary between life and afterlife while emphasizing the solemnity of crossing into the unknown. Historical texts reveal that the bridge was guarded by the fearsome hound Garma, whose role was not to torment but to ensure order and prevent unauthorized crossings. Only those who had earned their passage through natural death or other predetermined fates could traverse the Gjallarbrú safely. This regulation highlights the Norse emphasis on maintaining cosmic balance and respecting the laws governing mortality. Interestingly, the depiction of the bridge as fragile or easily destroyed is another misconception. In reality, the Gjallarbrú represents resilience and permanence, reflecting the enduring nature of Hel's realm. It symbolizes the inevitability of death and the structured path each soul must follow according to divine decree. For instance, when her mother rode Sleipnir across the bridge during his quest to retrieve Baldr, he demonstrated bravery and determination, qualities necessary for navigating such a sacred threshold. Moreover, the Gjallarbrú carries deeper symbolic meanings beyond its physical description. It embodies the journey of the soul, representing both endings and beginnings. Crossing the bridge signifies leaving behind one's earthly existence while stepping into an eternal phase governed by different principles. By understanding its true purpose, we gain insight into how the Norse viewed death not as a final destination but as a continuation of life cycles. As we uncover these layers of meaning, it becomes clear that the Gjallarbrú plays a vital role in shaping perceptions of Hel's realm. Far from being a source of dread, it stands as a testament to the intricate design of Norse cosmology, where every element holds profound significance. With this newfound appreciation, we can move forward to examine further myths surrounding rituals and paths leading to Hel's dominion. Building on our exploration of the Gjallarbrú and its symbolic importance, let us now turn our attention to the rituals and paths believed necessary to reach Hel's dominion. In Norse mythology, transitioning into the underworld was not a random occurrence, but rather a carefully structured journey governed by specific customs and practices. These myths reveal fascinating insights into how ancient peoples conceptualized death and honored the transition from life to afterlife. The first ritual often associated with reaching Hel involves sacrifices made to ensure safe passage. Contrary to modern interpretations, these offerings were not acts of fear or desperation but expressions of respect and gratitude. Families would dedicate items meaningful to the deceased, such as weapons, jewelry, or even food, believing that these possessions would accompany them into the next world. Horses, too, were sometimes sacrificed, symbolizing their role in guiding souls across the treacherous rivers separating the living from the dead. Speaking of rivers, crossing waterways emerges as another critical element in the journey to Hel. According to legend, those destined for the underworld must traverse several rivers, each representing a different aspect of mortality. The most notable among these is the river HEL, guarded by the bridge we discussed earlier. However, lesser-known accounts also mention other bodies of water, like the river Later, where the serpent Nidhögg resides. Crossing these waters required more than mere physical strength. It demanded spiritual readiness and adherence to divine protocols. Interestingly, some sagas suggest alternative methods for reaching Hel, beyond conventional journeys or sacrifices. For instance, certain individuals believed they could summon Hel herself through sacred incantations or magical rites performed at designated locations. These practices underscored the Norse understanding of death as both predictable and mysterious, capable of being influenced yet ultimately subject to cosmic will. Moreover, the emphasis on rituals highlights the cultural values prioritized by the Vikings: courage, loyalty, and preparation. Preparing for death was seen as an integral part of life, with families taking great care to fulfill all prescribed ceremonies. This approach reflected their belief in maintaining harmony between the worlds of the living and the dead, reinforcing the interconnectedness of existence. By examining these rituals and pathways, we gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity of Norse funerary traditions and their underlying philosophies. As we continue our journey through the myths surrounding Hel's realm, the next step invites us to explore whether escaping this domain was truly impossible or if there existed exceptions to this rule. Turning our attention now to the intriguing relationship between Odin and Hel, let us delve into the myth that Odin feared her. This notion, though widely circulated, requires closer examination to uncover the truth behind their dynamic within Norse cosmology. Far from being rooted in fear, the connection between these two figures reflects a complex interplay of authority, responsibility, and mutual respect. In Norse mythology, Odin is often depicted as the All-Father, wielding immense power and wisdom. However, his dominion does not extend unchallenged into every realm, including Hel's domain. Hel herself holds significant autonomy over the underworld, governing it according to her own rules and judgments. This division of control suggests less a hierarchy based on fear and more a recognition of separate yet complementary roles within the cosmic order. Their interactions reveal moments of negotiation rather than outright dominance or submission. For example, when Baldr perished, Odin sent her mother to negotiate with Hel for his return. While some interpretations portray this act as evidence of Odin's reluctance to confront Hel directly, it can also be seen as an acknowledgement of her sovereignty. By sending an emissary, Odin demonstrated respect for Hel's jurisdiction while still pursuing what he deemed necessary for the greater good. Moreover, the idea of fear oversimplifies the nuanced relationship between these deities. Fear implies weakness or vulnerability, whereas Odin's approach appears strategic and pragmatic. He understands the importance of maintaining balance across all realms, recognizing that even death plays a vital role in the grand tapestry of existence. Thus, instead of fearing Hel, Odin engages with her in ways that honor both his responsibilities as a leader and hers as a judge of the afterlife. This perspective highlights the sophisticated power dynamics at play in Norse mythology. Rather than operating under simplistic notions of fear or reverence, Odin and Hel embody a partnership defined by mutual understanding and shared purpose. Their relationship serves as a reminder that even among gods, cooperation and respect are essential components of governance and harmony. With this insight in mind, we move forward to examine another fascinating aspect: whether escaping Hel's grasp was truly impossible, or if there were exceptions to this seemingly immutable rule. Let us now explore the myth that escaping Hel's realm was an unbreakable finality, a notion deeply embedded in many interpretations of Norse mythology. While it is true that Hel's domain served as the destination for most souls after death, the idea that escape was entirely impossible deserves closer scrutiny. In fact, there are notable instances in the myths where individuals or deities attempted, and occasionally succeeded in retrieving someone from her grasp. One of the most famous examples involves her mother's daring quest to bring back Baldr, the beloved god whose untimely demise shook the 9 realms. After Baldr fell victim to Loki's trickery and perished, his absence left a profound void among the gods. Determined to restore him, Odin dispatched her mother on Sleipnir, the 8-legged steed, to negotiate with Hel herself. This act alone reveals that escape from Hel's dominion was not considered entirely unthinkable within Norse cosmology. The mission required courage, diplomacy, and adherence to Hel's terms, demonstrating that even in death, certain conditions could be met to secure release. Upon arriving at Hel's hall, her mother pleaded with her for Baldr's return. Interestingly, Hel did not outright refuse but instead presented a challenge. If every being in the 9 realms would weep for Baldr, she would allow him to leave. Though this condition ultimately failed due to one giantess refusing to shed tears, suspected to be Loki in disguise, the story underscores Hel's role as a fair judge rather than an absolute tyrant. Her decision was based on universal grief, a reflection of communal values rather than arbitrary cruelty. This example highlights how escape from Hel's realm was contingent upon fulfilling specific criteria. It also emphasizes the complexity of her character. She operates according to rules and principles, allowing for exceptions under extraordinary circumstances. Other tales suggest similar patterns where exceptional acts or divine intervention might bend the boundaries between life and death. In summary, while Hel's dominion may seem impenetrable at first glance, the myths reveal a more nuanced reality. Escape, though rare, was not categorically impossible. It depended on negotiation, compliance with Hel's terms, and sometimes sheer determination. This understanding adds depth to our perception of Hel, portraying her not merely as a grim overseer but as a guardian who upholds balance in the cosmic order. As we continue our journey through these myths, let us consider how such stories shape our comprehension of mortality and redemption in Norse belief. Shifting our focus now to Hel's role during Ragnarök, we delve into the myth that portrays her as an active participant in the apocalyptic events of Norse cosmology. While many interpretations paint Hel as a central figure leading hordes of the dead into battle, the surviving sources offer a more nuanced and less dramatic depiction of her involvement. Ragnarök, the twilight of the gods, represents the ultimate confrontation between order and chaos in Norse mythology. During this cataclysmic event, the world faces destruction and rebirth. In the prose Edda by Snorri Sturluson, Hel is mentioned in connection with Loki's arrival at the battlefield. According to the text, Loki escapes his bonds and joins forces with the giants, becoming a key antagonist against the gods. Accompanying him is an army of the dishonorable dead from Hel's realm, carried on the ship Naglfar, which is said to be made from the fingernails and toenails of the dead. This association links Hel indirectly to the unfolding chaos, but her direct participation remains ambiguous. Interestingly, Hel herself is not explicitly described as wielding weapons or engaging in combat. Instead, her primary function appears to be logistical. She provides the army of the deceased, reinforcing the idea that her role is tied to her domain as ruler of the underworld rather than as a warrior. Her contribution underscores the interconnectedness of all realms during Ragnarök, where every corner of existence contributes to the cosmic upheaval. Moreover, some scholars argue that Hel's role may have been exaggerated over time through oral traditions, emphasizing her sinister associations to heighten the drama of Ragnarök. However, based on the available evidence, her involvement seems limited to facilitating the movement of souls rather than taking an aggressive stance against the gods. This interpretation aligns with her established character as a guardian of balance, ensuring the proper flow of life and death even in the face of universal destruction. By examining these details, we gain a clearer understanding of Hel's role during Ragnarök, not as a fearsome warrior but as a custodian of the dead, playing her part in the grand narrative of the world's end and renewal. As we move forward, let us consider how such portrayals reflect broader themes of fate, inevitability, and the cyclical nature of existence in Norse mythology. Moving our focus now to the fascinating creatures that dwell within Hel's realm, let us explore some of the myths surrounding the animals associated with the Norse underworld. Among these, Garma, the mighty watchdog, stands out as one of the most iconic figures guarding the boundaries of Hel's domain. According to legend, Garma resides at Nipperhelja, the cave entrance to the underworld, where he fulfills his duty as a vigilant guardian, preventing unauthorized souls from entering or leaving Hel's kingdom. Often depicted as a fierce and menacing figure, Garma's role aligns with the broader theme of thresholds and transitions in Norse mythology, symbolizing the boundary between life and death. Beyond Garma, other mythical creatures are said to inhabit the shadowy realms of the underworld. Some accounts mention horses pulling the chariots of the dead, carrying departed souls across rivers like Gjallarbrú to reach Hel's territory. These equine companions represent the journey into the afterlife, echoing similar motifs found in other ancient cultures. Additionally, there are tales of serpents and dragons lurking in the depths of Niflheim, the icy region within the underworld, further emphasizing its perilous and mysterious nature. Interestingly, these animals often serve dual purposes in mythological narratives. While they act as protectors or obstacles, their presence also reflects deeper symbolic meanings tied to the cycles of existence. For instance, Garma's loyalty to Hel mirrors her own commitment to maintaining order in the afterlife, ensuring that each soul finds its rightful place. Similarly, the horses symbolize transition and movement, highlighting the fluidity of life and death. It is worth noting that over time, these animal associations may have been exaggerated through oral storytelling traditions, adding layers of drama and intrigue to their roles. However, based on available sources, it seems clear that such creatures were integral parts of the underworld's ecosystem, contributing to its rich tapestry of lore. By examining these myths, we uncover not only the imaginative world-building of ancient Scandinavians, but also their profound understanding of the complexities surrounding mortality and the unknown. As we continue our exploration, let's delve deeper into how these creatures fit into the larger cosmology of the Norse underworld, revealing even more about this enigmatic realm. Exploring the rumors of Hel's gender ambiguity, we find a fascinating aspect of Norse mythology that challenges traditional perceptions. While many modern interpretations portray Hel as strictly female, historical sources suggest a more complex identity. In some accounts, Hel is described with characteristics that blur conventional gender lines, hinting at a being whose nature transcends simple categorization. The Prose Edda, penned by Snorri Sturluson, provides key insights into this topic. Here, Hel is depicted with physical traits that reflect both life and death. Half of her face appears beautiful while the other half is decayed. This duality could symbolize not only the balance between existence and non-existence, but also an underlying fluidity in her essence. Some scholars argue that these descriptions may point to a deeper understanding of gender roles in ancient Norse society, where rigid definitions were less emphasized than functionality and purpose. Further evidence comes from the broader context of Scandinavian folklore, where shape-shifting and multifaceted beings are common themes. Could Hel's perceived ambiguity stem from her role as a ruler of the underworld, embodying elements of creation and destruction? Her domain itself represents transition and transformation, qualities often associated with beings who defy fixed identities. It is important to note that much of what we know about Hel comes through later Christian-influenced texts, which might have altered original depictions for moral or theological reasons. Therefore, separating fact from interpretation becomes challenging. However, the idea of Hel possessing shifting attributes aligns well with the symbolic richness of Norse cosmology, where boundaries are meant to be questioned rather than enforced. Understanding Hel's potential gender ambiguity enriches our appreciation of her complexity as a deity. It invites us to reconsider how ancient peoples viewed divinity, not merely as static figures, but as dynamic forces reflecting the intricate dance of life, death, and renewal. As we move forward, let's examine another intriguing facet of Hel's character, the enduring legacy of her realm throughout history and culture. Shifting our focus now to the enduring nature of Hel's domain, let us delve into the myth that her kingdom was eternal. Many interpretations suggest that Hel's realm existed as an everlasting dominion, untouched by the cycles of creation and destruction that governed other parts of the Norse cosmos. However, this notion does not align with the broader narrative of Ragnarök, which reveals a more complex fate for Hel's underworld. According to the Prose Edda and other sources, Hel's kingdom served as a critical component of the Norse cosmological order, providing a destination for those who did not die in battle. Yet, even this seemingly permanent aspect of existence was not spared from the cataclysmic events of Ragnarök. During this apocalyptic sequence, the world faces total upheaval, with gods, giants, and mortals all caught in its destructive wake. Hel herself plays a role in these events, leading an army of the dead toward the battlefield of Vigridr. Her involvement underscores the interconnectedness of all realms, including her own, within the larger cosmic drama. As the story unfolds, the ultimate fate of Hel's kingdom becomes clear. Rather than persisting indefinitely, it succumbs to the chaos of Ragnarök. The texts describe how the realm is consumed by fire and submerged beneath the waves, mirroring the destruction visited upon the Nine Worlds. This ending reflects the cyclical view of time prevalent in Norse mythology, where nothing, not even death itself, is immune to change or renewal. it is worth noting that the concept of Hel's kingdom being eternal likely stems from misunderstandings of its function. For ancient Norse peoples, the underworld represented stability amidst life's uncertainties, but this stability was never meant to be absolute. Instead, it formed part of a greater pattern of growth, decay, and rebirth. By examining the myths surrounding Ragnarök, we gain insight into how Hel's domain fits into this grand design, reinforcing the transient yet meaningful nature of all things in Norse cosmology. Understanding this adds another layer of depth to our appreciation of Hel's role in the mythological tapestry. Let us now turn our attention to one of the most persistent misconceptions in Norse mythology, the contrast between Valhalla and Hel. Many people today view these two realms as opposites, with Valhalla being a glorious paradise for heroes and Hel as a dark, dreary place reserved for the unworthy. However, this simplistic interpretation oversimplifies the complex reality of Norse beliefs about the afterlife. In truth, both Valhalla and Hel serve distinct but complementary roles in the mythological framework. Valhalla, ruled by Odin, was indeed a majestic hall where warriors slain in battle were welcomed. These Einherjar, as they were called, spent their days training for Ragnarök and feasting each night on endless supplies of mead and pork. This idealized depiction of an eternal battlefield resonated deeply with Viking Age warriors who sought honor through combat. On the other hand, Hel's realm functioned as the destination for those who did not die gloriously in battle. Farmers, craftsmen, mothers, and others whose lives were defined by ordinary pursuits found themselves in her domain after death. Contrary to modern assumptions, this was not necessarily a punishment. Instead, it reflected the natural order of things. Just as most people lived ordinary lives, so too would their afterlives reflect that balance. Hel herself ruled over this realm with fairness, ensuring that souls received what was due to them according to their deeds in life. Moreover, it is essential to recognize that neither realm represented an absolute reward or punishment. While Valhalla offered excitement and camaraderie, its residents knew they were destined to fight and likely perish during Ragnarök. Meanwhile, Hel's kingdom provided stability and continuity, mirroring the cyclical nature of existence in Norse cosmology. Both places had their own significance within the larger context of the Nine Worlds. Understanding this distinction reveals how Norse society valued different aspects of life. For warriors, there was glory in Valhalla. For everyone else, there was peace in Hel. By embracing both perspectives, we gain a richer appreciation of the nuanced world held by ancient Scandinavians, one that celebrated diversity in human experience even beyond death. Shifting our focus now, let us explore another intriguing aspect of Hel's character that challenges common misconceptions: the myth of her supposed lack of compassion. Many tales paint Hel as an unyielding figure who shows no mercy to those under her domain. However, delving deeper into the sources reveals a more nuanced portrayal. Hel was not merely a merciless ruler, but rather one who upheld fairness according to the established rules of Norse cosmology. One key example lies in the story of Baldr's death. When the beloved god Baldr perished after being struck by a mistletoe projectile orchestrated by Loki, his grieving mother Frigg pleaded with Hel to release him from the underworld. Hel responded with conditions that aligned perfectly with the principles of balance and justice central to Norse beliefs. She agreed to return Baldr on the condition that all living beings weep for him, a test designed to measure the collective grief he inspired. While this stipulation ultimately led to Baldr remaining in Hel's realm due to one creature refusing to mourn, it demonstrates Hel's adherence to fair judgment rather than arbitrary cruelty. This incident highlights how Hel operated within a framework of cosmic order, ensuring souls were treated justly based on universal criteria. Her actions were guided by rules meant to preserve harmony across the Nine Worlds. By enforcing these standards impartially, she maintained equilibrium between life and death, reflecting a deeper wisdom often overlooked in modern interpretations. Furthermore, other accounts suggest moments where Hel displayed restraint and consideration. Unlike depictions portraying her as purely vindictive, historical texts indicate she fulfilled her role responsibly, balancing severity with fairness. This perspective invites us to reconsider Hel not as a heartless overseer, but as a guardian of the afterlife whose decisions upheld the greater structure of existence. Understanding this dimension adds richness to our appreciation of her complex nature. As we uncover these layers, it becomes clear that Hel's reputation as devoid of compassion is both incomplete and misleading. Let us now turn our attention to another fascinating facet of her realm, the significance of its various gates and entrances. Myths 19 and 20, Gates of Hel. Venturing further into the intricate world of Norse mythology, let us now explore the fascinating topic of the gates that guarded Hel's domain. These mythical portals were not merely architectural features but carried deep symbolic meanings tied to the transition between life and death in Norse cosmology. The first gate we encounter is Gjallarbrú, often referred to as the resounding bridge. This majestic structure spans the river HEL and serves as the primary entrance to Hel's realm. According to legend, it was protected by the vigilant watchman Mothi, who ensured only those destined for the underworld could cross. The bridge itself resonated with a thunderous sound when traversed, signaling the arrival of newcomers to the land of the dead. Its purpose extended beyond mere security. It represented the threshold where mortals left behind their earthly existence and entered an eternal afterlife. Another significant gate mentioned in the sagas is Nagrind, meaning corpse gate. Located deeper within Helheim, this formidable barrier marked the boundary separating ordinary souls from those reserved for special judgment. It was said to be guarded by the fierce hound Garma, whose loyalty to Hel ensured no unauthorized beings breached its walls. Beyond Nagrind lay Iljuthnir, Hel's grand hall, where she presided over the affairs of her realm. The presence of such imposing structures reinforced the idea that Hel's dominion was both sacred and inaccessible to the living. Beyond these well-known gates, lesser documented myths hint at additional entrances scattered throughout the Nine Worlds. Some tales describe secret pathways used by divine messengers or heroes undertaking quests into the underworld. These hidden routes symbolize the possibility of communication between realms, albeit under strict conditions set forth by Hel herself. Such lore added layers of complexity to the understanding of her dominion, emphasizing its multifaceted nature rather than portraying it as a monolithic entity. Examining the significance of these gates reveals much about Norse perceptions of mortality and the afterlife. They embodied themes of passage, protection, and protocol, ensuring order prevailed even in the shadowy depths of Hel's kingdom. As we delve deeper into these mythological elements, we gain greater insight into how ancient peoples conceptualized death and what awaited them beyond the veil. With this understanding, let us move forward to uncover yet another intriguing aspect of Hel's legacy. Shifting our focus now to the intriguing myth surrounding food in Hel's realm, we uncover a fascinating belief that ties sustenance to the permanence of one's stay in the underworld. According to Norse tradition, it was widely believed that consuming food in Hel bound souls there forever, making this act a point of no return. This concept played a significant role in shaping the perceptions and rituals associated with death and burial practices. In ancient Norse culture, provisions were often included in burials as offerings for the deceased's journey into the afterlife. These items typically consisted of food, drink, and tools thought to aid them in their transition. The inclusion of such necessities reflected the belief that the soul might need nourishment during its passage through the underworld before reaching Hel's dominion. However, once within her realm, partaking of any sustenance would seal the soul's fate, preventing its return to the world of the living. This idea carried symbolic weight, representing the definitive nature of death and the finality of crossing into the afterlife. For those who ventured into Hel's domain, whether mortal heroes or divine beings, the act of eating served as a clear marker of commitment to their new existence. It emphasized the importance of adhering to protocols when interacting with the underworld, reinforcing the boundaries between life and death. Moreover, these beliefs influenced burial customs by encouraging careful consideration of what accompanied the dead. Archaeological evidence reveals graves equipped with carefully selected goods, suggesting efforts to prepare the departed adequately for their posthumous journey. Such practices highlight the deep integration of mythological concepts into everyday life, demonstrating how people navigated their understanding of mortality through tangible actions. Understanding this myth not only sheds light on Norse attitudes toward death, but also reveals insights into their worldview and cultural practices. By examining the connection between food and permanence in Hel's realm, we gain a richer appreciation of how ancient societies conceptualized the transition from life to eternity. With this knowledge in mind, let us proceed to explore another captivating aspect of Hel's legacy, turning our attention now to the intriguing figures who served Hel in her realm. We delve into the myth of her attendants and their significance within Norse mythology. Hel, as the ruler of the underworld, was not alone in maintaining the order of her domain. She was accompanied by a retinue of beings whose roles and appearances added depth to the lore surrounding her dominion. Among the most notable of Hel's servants is Gjallarbrú, the slow-moving servant who attends to the needs of those in Hel's hall. Described as moving so slowly that one might think they are standing still, Gjallarbrú symbolizes the lethargic nature of the afterlife. Their sluggishness reflects the eternal stillness and quietude that permeates Hel's realm, contrasting sharply with the bustling life above. Another significant figure is Gjallarbrú's counterpart, who serves as the handmaiden to Hel. Together, these two embody the eerie calm and inevitability of death, reinforcing the idea that time itself slows in the underworld. Their presence adds an atmospheric layer to the myths, emphasizing the somber yet essential function of Hel's domain. Beyond Gjallarbrú and Gjallarbrú, there are accounts of other unnamed attendants who assist in the administration of Hel's court. These beings, though less detailed in surviving texts, contribute to the overall image of a structured and organized underworld. They ensure that the souls of the departed are treated according to the laws set forth by Hel, maintaining balance and justice in her realm. The depiction of Hel's servants also highlights the dual nature of her kingdom. While often viewed as a place of despair, the presence of these attendants suggests a more complex reality. They serve not only as caretakers but also as enforcers of cosmic order, reflecting the broader themes of Norse mythology where even death has its own system and purpose. Understanding the roles and appearances of Hel's servants enriches our appreciation of the Norse conception of the afterlife. It reveals a world where every aspect, no matter how minor, contributes to the grand tapestry of existence. As we continue our exploration, let us next consider another fascinating aspect of Hel's legacy. Shifting our focus now to the intriguing tales of spirits escaping Hel's grasp, we uncover myths 23 and 24, which delve into the folklore surrounding these spectral breakouts. In Norse tradition, the underworld was not an impenetrable fortress, as some stories recount instances where ghosts managed to slip through its boundaries and return to the world of the living. According to certain sagas, these escaped spirits were often seen as omens or harbingers of significant events. They might appear in dreams or during moments of crisis, serving as warnings or messages from beyond the grave. The nature of their escape varied. Some were said to have been released temporarily by Hel herself for specific purposes, while others found loopholes in the cosmic order, slipping away unnoticed. One notable example is the story of Hadingus, a legendary hero who encountered a ghostly visitor in his saga. This spirit had briefly escaped Hel's domain to warn Hadingus of impending danger. Such tales reflect a belief that even in death, connections between the living and the dead could persist under extraordinary circumstances. However, not all escapes were benign. Some folklore depicted restless spirits returning with malevolent intent, driven by unresolved grievances or unfulfilled desires. These accounts contributed to the fear and reverence surrounding Hel's realm, emphasizing the delicate balance between life and death maintained by its ruler. These myths also reveal the cultural perception of death as less final than commonly assumed. Rather than being a permanent severance, it was viewed as part of an ongoing cycle where boundaries could occasionally blur. By examining these stories, we gain insight into how ancient Norse societies understood mortality and the afterlife, seeing them as intertwined rather than separate realms. Understanding the dynamics of spirits escaping Hel adds another layer to the complexity of Norse mythology. It challenges simplistic notions of the underworld as solely punitive or restrictive, showing instead a nuanced view where even death holds possibilities for interaction and meaning. As we move forward, let us explore yet another fascinating dimension of this rich mythological tapestry. Transitioning now to an exploration of Hel's dominion over life and death, we delve into Myth 25, which examines the extent of her authority in this cosmic balance. Many accounts suggest that Hel wielded absolute power over mortality, deciding the fates of souls with unwavering finality. However, as with many myths, the truth lies somewhere between fact and exaggeration. In Norse mythology, Hel was indeed tasked with governing the afterlife, overseeing realms such as Helheim and Niflheim. Her role was crucial in determining the destination of those who did not die in battle, ensuring they found their place in the intricate web of existence. Yet, it is important to note that her powers were not limitless. Even Hel herself was subject to the overarching laws of the cosmos, which included the will of more prominent deities like Odin. This hierarchical structure reveals that while Hel held significant sway, she was not the sole arbiter of all mortal destinies. One fascinating aspect of Hel's influence is the idea that her decisions were often guided by fairness rather than cruelty. Unlike the common misconception of her as a tyrannical ruler, historical texts portray her as adhering to established rules and principles. For example, when her mother pleaded for Baldr's return, Hel agreed under specific conditions, demonstrating a willingness to negotiate within the framework of her authority. Moreover, the perception of Hel's control over life and death reflects broader cultural beliefs about mortality in ancient Norse society. Death was seen as a natural part of existence, governed by forces both within and beyond Hel's reach. This understanding underscores the complexity of her role, highlighting that her power, while immense, was balanced by the interconnectedness of all things in the Norse cosmology. By examining these nuances, we uncover a richer picture of Hel not as an omnipotent figure, but as a pivotal guardian maintaining the delicate equilibrium between life and death. As we continue our journey through these myths, let us keep in mind how each layer of her character adds depth to the fascinating tapestry of Norse mythology. Shifting now to a closer examination of the physical spaces within Hel's domain, let us explore Myth 26, which centers on the hall Gjallarbrú, often misrepresented in modern interpretations as a grim and torturous dungeon. Gjallarbrú reveals a far more nuanced reality upon closer inspection of historical texts. This hall, located deep within Helheim, served as the dwelling place for those who entered Hel's realm, offering them a structured environment rather than one filled with endless suffering. Gjallarbrú's name translates to misery or wretchedness, contributing to its dark reputation. However, this does not necessarily mean it was a place of active torment. Instead, it reflects the Norse understanding of death as a state removed from the vibrancy of life, a natural but somber transition. The hall functioned as a residence where souls could find rest and order after their earthly journeys ended. Unlike Valhalla, which welcomed warriors slain in battle, Gjallarbrú accommodated those whose deaths occurred through illness, old age, or other non-heroic means. Its purpose was practical, providing a home for the majority of humanity who did not meet glorified ends. Contrary to popular belief, Gjallarbrú was not designed to punish but rather to house. While it may have lacked the splendor associated with Asgard or even Valhalla, it fulfilled an essential role in maintaining the balance of the cosmos. Souls here were not forgotten or abandoned. They continued to exist in a manner befitting their circumstances. This distinction highlights the importance of understanding Hel's realm not as a singularly punitive space, but as a multifaceted afterlife destination governed by fairness and necessity. In addition, the portrayal of Gjallarbrú as a hellish prison stems largely from later Christian influences that reshaped ancient Norse perceptions. By returning to original sources, we uncover a depiction of Gjallarbrú as a reflection of the mortal experience, neither cruel nor kind, simply reflective of the inevitable conclusion of life. This realization adds depth to our appreciation of Hel's dominion, revealing it as a realm shaped by balance and purpose rather than malice or despair. With this understanding, we can appreciate Gjallarbrú not as a dungeon but as a crucial component of the Norse conception of the afterlife. Moving from the exploration of Gjallarbrú, let us now delve into myths 27 and 28, which focus on the intriguing topic of seasons in Hel's realm. Many misconceptions surround whether Helheim experiences seasonal changes or remains a static, unchanging environment. Contrary to popular belief, the Norse conception of Hel's dominion includes subtle variations that reflect the cyclical nature of existence, albeit in a manner distinct from the living world. Helheim is often portrayed as a land devoid of the vibrant transitions between spring, summer, autumn, and winter familiar to those above ground. However, ancient texts suggest that this perception oversimplifies the complexities of the underworld. While Hel's realm lacks the overt displays of blooming flowers or falling snow, it still embodies the symbolic essence of seasons. These shifts are more metaphorical than literal, representing the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth within the context of the afterlife. For instance, the absence of sunlight in Helheim symbolizes an eternal winter of sorts, yet this does not equate to stagnation. Instead, it signifies a different kind of renewal, a quiet transformation that aligns with the souls residing there. Just as winter prepares the earth for spring, Hel's realm serves as a preparatory stage for whatever lies beyond, whether that be reincarnation or ultimate dissolution at Ragnarök. This understanding challenges the notion that Helheim is entirely devoid of dynamism. Additionally, certain myths describe faint echoes of earthly seasons manifesting in Hel's dominion. For example, the flow of rivers such as Gjallarbrú might swell during periods corresponding to mortal winters, while the air may grow colder, reflecting the interplay between worlds. These nuances underscore the interconnectedness of all realms within the Norse cosmology, showing that even Helheim is not entirely isolated from the broader cycles governing existence. Symbolically, the seasons in Hel's realm represent the inevitability of change, even in death. They remind us that nothing remains fixed forever, including the afterlife itself. By recognizing these subtle patterns, we gain deeper insight into the Norse worldview, where every aspect of reality contributes to a grand tapestry of balance and purpose. Understanding this helps dispel the myth that Hel's dominion is a lifeless void, revealing instead a place imbued with meaning and significance. Shifting our focus now to the intricate web of relationships Hel maintains with other deities, we uncover a dimension of her character often overshadowed by her interactions with Odin. While much attention is given to their dynamic, Hel's connections with other gods reveal a rich tapestry of alliances and conflicts that have been largely overlooked in traditional narratives. For instance, consider Thor, whose domain as the protector of both gods and humans might suggest a natural opposition to Hel's role as ruler of the underworld. Surprisingly, there are no direct accounts of hostility between them in surviving texts. This absence of conflict hints at a mutual understanding or perhaps an unspoken agreement regarding their respective realms. Thor's duties primarily concern the living world, while Hel governs the afterlife, suggesting they operate in separate spheres without interference. Another fascinating relationship emerges when examining Freyja, goddess associated with fertility, love, and death. Some scholars speculate that Freyja and Hel share a deeper connection than initially perceived. Both figures play roles involving the transition from life to death, albeit through different facets. Freyja receives half of those who die in battle in Folkvanger, while Hel welcomes others into her realm. This division implies cooperation rather than rivalry, highlighting how these two deities complement each other in managing the flow of souls. Moreover, Loki, Hel's father, presents another layer of complexity. Despite being her parent, their bond appears strained at times. Loki's mischief often places him at odds with the gods, but his actions rarely implicate Hel directly. Instead, she seems to maintain a pragmatic stance, focusing on her responsibilities as ruler of Helheim regardless of her father's antics. These relationships demonstrate that Hel's position within the Norse pantheon extends beyond mere antagonism or isolation. She engages in nuanced interactions characterized by balance, negotiation, and occasional collaboration. By exploring these overlooked dynamics, we gain a fuller appreciation of Hel, not just as a figure of myth, but as an integral part of the divine order, contributing to the intricate workings of the cosmos. Understanding this broader context enriches our perception of her role and significance in Norse mythology. Moving from the intricate relationships Hel shares with other deities, let us now explore how her legacy has endured through the ages and continues to influence modern interpretations in literature, media, and culture. Hel's complex character, once confined to ancient Norse mythology, has transcended time and space, finding new life in contemporary storytelling and beyond. In literature, Hel often serves as a source of inspiration for characters who embody duality, figures straddling the line between life and death, order and chaos. Authors such as Neil Gaiman in his novel American Gods reimagine Hel not merely as a ruler of the underworld but as a symbol of humanity's fear and fascination with mortality. Her presence in these works reflects an ongoing dialogue about what it means to face one's end and the nature of existence itself. Media also plays a significant role in shaping modern perceptions of Hel. In television series like Marvel's Loki, Hel is reimagined as Hela, a powerful antagonist driven by themes of abandonment and destiny. While this portrayal simplifies some aspects of her mythological origins, it captures the essence of her complexity, a being both feared and respected, embodying forces far greater than mortal comprehension. These adaptations introduce audiences unfamiliar with Norse lore to the depth and intrigue surrounding Hel's character. Beyond fictional representations, Hel's influence extends into broader cultural conversations. She appears in art, music, and even video games, where her domain becomes a playground for exploring philosophical questions about death, justice, and redemption. Video games like God of War present Helheim as a haunting yet mesmerizing realm, inviting players to engage with its mysteries while reflecting on their own fears and desires. Ultimately, Hel's legacy persists because she represents something universal: the human struggle to understand and come to terms with death. Through modern interpretations, we see her not only as a mythological figure, but as a mirror reflecting our deepest anxieties and aspirations. As we continue to reinterpret her story across various mediums, Hel remains a timeless reminder of the enduring power of myth to shape our collective imagination. To wrap up our journey through the myths surrounding Hel and the Norse underworld, let us take a moment to reflect on the rich tapestry of stories and ideas we've uncovered. From her misunderstood role as the ruler of a realm often oversimplified as purely punitive, to her complex character that embodies both life and death, Hel stands as one of the most fascinating figures in Norse mythology. We've explored how she is not merely a monstrous entity but a balanced figure, governing an afterlife that was seen more as a continuation of existence rather than a place of eternal suffering. Throughout this video, we've debunked numerous misconceptions, from the exaggerated descriptions of her appearance to the belief that escaping her domain was impossible. We've delved into her interactions with other gods, her involvement in Ragnarök, and even the creatures and landmarks associated with her realm. Each myth unraveled revealed layers of meaning, showing how Hel's story has been shaped by cultural perceptions over time. Modern interpretations have only added depth to her legacy, bringing her into literature, media, and art in ways that continue to captivate audiences worldwide. Whether as a source of philosophical reflection or simply a symbol of humanity's enduring fascination with mortality, Hel remains a powerful presence in our collective imagination. This exploration barely scratches the surface of what there is to discover about Hel and the Norse underworld. For those eager to dive deeper, I encourage you to explore additional resources, whether through books, documentaries, or scholarly articles. Share your thoughts and favorite insights in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation alive. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Norse mythology, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thank you for joining me on this adventure through myth and legend.